So as many of you already know, I have created 3 of these modified Crosman 2240 guns. This particular one here with a max flow, with the B&M breech, the B&M shroud. This is my favorite and my strongest shooting gun. I have to admit, I do love the way this one shoots. It's very accurate. It's got that 24-inch barrel. Very quite efficient, and everything is great except for one item, and that is the hammer. This hammer is a bit of a problem. Why is it a problem? Well, what happens is, this is the main tube of the Crosman, okay? And what you're seeing is this is the top of the tube with the long piece here for the pin, and this is where the sear enters from the trigger. What happens is, at the base of the tube down here, so this is the top, this is the bottom, this is your hammer, which goes into the tube with a pin, right? So there you have it. It slides back and forth. When you cock it, it pulls back, and the hammer is in the back. There's a spring in there with the back piece. Again. So here you have the hammer in place with the pin on the top. Okay, I think you can see that. And then what's behind the hammer is a spring. Now, I'm using, because we went to PCP, and PCP is definitely requires a stronger spring, hammer spring. This one here is a 0.38. I know because I label all my products. I have 0.35 and 0.32. The 0.38 is going to be stiffer. It's going to take much more to compress it. So as you can see here, again, hammer in place, spring goes on the inside, and I'll just put my finger there to hold the spring. When you cock it back, now see, I'm having a very hard time. And what's happening is, when you cock back the hammer with the cocking mechanism, the hammer digs down into the bottom here and rubs and creates wear. So as you just saw, I tried to pull this back, all right? So what happens is, down here on the bottom, when you pull the hammer back, this bottom piece here, let me get my finger out of the way, hopefully you can see this, down here at the bottom wears out here and it digs in, okay? Because you're pulling from the top, it's digging down, okay? As you can see with my hand, I'm trying to show you that the bottom of the hammer will dig down into the bottom of the inside of the barrel and not allow you to cock it, especially when we're putting extreme forces on it. Again, we're using a 0.38 hammer spring, which is a lot heavier than the standard Crosman 2240 spring. So somehow I need to alleviate this issue, because if you get a new tube, that coating that's on the inside here only lasts so long, and eventually the back and forth rubbing, cocking, will wear out the bottom here. This is rubbing against the bottom here. So this piece rubs here and doesn't allow it to cock. So what I'm going to attempt to do, and actually I've already done it, this is going to be a second attempt and it's already in this gun, is to grind away from this point here where the pin goes in to about this point here, leaving just a little bit in the front. I'm going to grind away all of this in the middle and put a sleeve. Now, what kind of sleeve am I going to be putting in? again, when I do my modifications, I try to do it with whatever I have lying around. This is 3/4 inch plumbing, plastic, I believe it's PVC, but this is a sprinkler system hose. Now what I found was I started sanding it, and let's see, if you see right there, I found out that it sands, but it sands very well to a very smooth finish. And this tube is exactly 0.75, which matches this, you know, the Crosman tube, which is 0.75, slightly less, 0.74. So if you try to fit it in, it won't fit. Okay, as you can see here, this is just won't fit. So this is going to have to be ground away. So we'll take a small piece, substitute that for what we're going to take away here, a depth of probably about 0.2 inches, somewhere around there. I'll let you know what the exact diameter is, but we have to match. When you grind this down, it has to match the same diameter as the inside of this tube here. So my caliper, let's put that on the inside. Okay, roughly. And it's actually that's right, it's 0.61, okay? So what I'm gonna have to do is grind away the middle here to be now see here, this is already 0.61. So I don't have to touch this point where the indent is. We're not gonna touch that. But from here, from this point to about this point, we're going to grind away till we get to 0.61 of an inch. Now, the other thing is, how are we going to keep this tubing in place once we grind it away? And how do we get it over the lip of the hammer? Because there'll be a lip on the beginning and the end. So this will be hollowed away, and I'll show you what that looks like as we go through the process. Well, I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut the tubing to the exact, it's probably going to be, the tubing is going to be about 0.8 inches. That's what I'm going to grind away, in this length. So from the front here to where the pin goes, I'm going to take away about 0.82 of an inch. I'm going to cut away 0.82, okay? And that piece, I'm going to cut, once I cut it, I'm going to cut it diagonally, epoxy it over the portion that I've taken away, let that dry with 2 zip ties. Once it's dry, I'm going to put it back in the lathe, the drill lathe, and smooth it all down. And I'll show you this process as we go through. I just wanted to give you a preface as to how this is all going to come together. Now you say, how are you going to put this in a lathe? Well, what I did was, and this is an important step because if you don't have a lathe, which I do not, I went to Harbor Freight, and they have a beautiful mini precision lathe for about $560. You could probably get it for $450 with their discount. But again, that's still a lot of money, and I'm sure most of us don't want to spend $450. So what I did was, I came up with a nifty way to hold this hammer in my drill. How do we do it? Put the hammer, I'm going to show you right now. I took a bolt, and this bolt has a 0.305 diameter. It's a standard bolt I bought at Home Depot. I cut the thread away, so the thread was on this end, and there's a little bit of like a bullet shape in the front, and then I cut a piece off, discard the hex nut piece. We just need this little rod, which is about, and it doesn't have to be precise, 1 1/3 inch, okay? What we're gonna do is, we're gonna fit it in there, and then this piece will be held in the drill. But it's loose, right? How do we get it to fit tight? I thought of many ways. Maybe I'll use epoxy and then loosen it up. Well, think about what plumbers do with pipes. So I took some old string, put it in, and I'm actually doing this right now. This is gonna be official. I'm gonna start using this as I start the process. So I'm doing this right in front of you. So hold it in a cross pattern, as you see here. Place the pin, start to hold it with your finger, press it in, and we'll finish it off with a hammer. Okay, you're actually watching me do. Now this table's pretty secure, so I can bang away. Okay, there we go. Looks pretty ugly, but I promise you, that's in place right there, okay? So there it is. It looks terrible, but you can't pull this pin out. And now, what do? Let me get rid of this hammer. We put it in our drill lathe, open it up, put that. Don't worry about all that hair, it doesn't matter, just let it fall off. It does, you know, this is just rope twine. Put it in there, tighten it down, and there you go. You got a lathe. And this is the same lathe we're gonna put that I did with the, I made the power adjuster out of. Now we're gonna use it to make our new hammer, our smooth cocking hammer. So there it is. It's pretty, wow, it's very straight. Let's see, here. See it rotating? There it is, slow-mo. It's pretty smooth. All right, so that's gonna go, this is ready to go. I'm gonna start the process. And by the way, how am I going to cut away at this? How am I going to cut away at this intersection here and leave this little bit? Let me see, where's the pin so you can see it? Okay, so I'm gonna cut from here, right about there, to somewhere about here. I'm going to take away this whole inner side. How am I going to do that? Well, all you need is a Dremel. I bought this little diamond cutting tool. Okay, when it's in the lathe, it'll be spinning, and I'll be spinning it in the Dremel, however you like to say it. Tomato, whatever matters. And you'll make a cut, initial cut, same thing on this end. Now, because there's this little indent here, right here on the hammer, it's going to bounce a bit. So you're gonna have to be really diligent to try to keep that straight, okay? But it will cut, I know, because I've already done it. And then how will I remove the inner part? Well, I'll start with again, this will all be in the Dremel, and I'll be going back and forth like this as it's spinning and grinding away a little bit at a time. And then to finish it off, to make it nice and smooth, I'll be using the file, just a regular file. And as you can see in the camera here, I'll just be touching it a little bit. You know, it cuts very, this is a new file, it's beautiful. It'll be very easy, it'll make a nice indentation. I'll just keep filing away, and eventually that'll be missing. So with that all being said, let's get to it. So here we are. We've got our lathe. Remember how we did it in another video? We're just putting it right in here in a vise, very gently. Now, when you're using the lathe, if you press down, what's going to happen? It's going to fall forward. If you press up, it's going to do the same. But if you press to the side, either this way or this way, it's no problem because the vise will hold it. And you don't have to have this very tight. This is very loosely. You don't want to break your drill. So here we go. I have my Dremel tool with my diamond blade. Okay, and what I'm going to do is this is going to be my automatic drill holder. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our little vice grip around the drill. That's going to spin it. By the way, always wear eye protection. Very important. Here we go. I'm going to make my attempt. So what you want to do is get yourself very comfortable. I'm using my knee as a brace to make sure I stay in line, and it's looking pretty good. So I'm going to continue on. Remember, I'm using my knee to hold the Dremel straight, and it's actually working very well. All right, that was it, that quick. Now I'm going to do the front end. This is going to be a little harder because it's going to bounce, so I'm going to have to hold real steady. Alright, so that's a little harder, but as you can see, it's very doable. I'm going to put it in reverse, so now that it gets it the other way. Using the Dremel diamond. Again, this is a $5 item on Amazon. If you already have a Dremel, just get the diamond. It comes with 5 blades. And let's show you what it looks like. Let's see, is it hot? It's hot. So let's take it off. Here's what it looks like so far. See that? We have 2 cuts. One here, one here, one here. I don't know if you see that. All right. Now we're going to file away this middle section. Again, using our file, we're going to file away this middle section. All right, so what I'm going to do now is transfer over to my grinding bit for my Dremel. And my automatic drill. Now I'm going to spin it a little, so I'm going to spin it a little faster for the grinding tool because we need to grind away quickly. Look at those sparks. So it's working out really well, taking down quite a bit. I have more stones, of course. This one's already ground down. Once we grind down the bulk of it, then we'll go over to the file. I love sparks, isn't that fun? All right, I think it's time to switch over to the file. So now what we're going to do is, I'm going to secure it a little better. There we go. I can feel it grabbing. All right. It's looking good. So here's what it looks like so far. I don't know if you can see how it's indented, but it's cut. Okay. So now it's cut from here to here on the inside. This is untouched and the tip is untouched. And this, we are at 0.67 and the front piece is a little bit 0.64. There's kind of 2 sections to this. So you see that? There are 2 sections. This section and this section side, which says 0.65 minutes. All right, so I'll keep going. I won't bore you with this section. As soon as I'm ready to cut the vinyl sleeve, as soon as I'm done with this, I'll show you what it looks like, and then when I have the vinyl sleeve ready to be cut, epoxied over, and zip tied to hold, I'll show you that section. See, there is the pin, the hammer pin. This is the hammer. It's been ground away. I'll let you see what that looks like. Spin it slowly. So you kind of get an idea of what it looks like. And that's going to accept the black sleeve. Now this is not quite done. This is hot right now, but it's not quite done yet. I just have to file it a little more. So I'll finish filing it. It's at 0.623 right now. I'm going to go down another 1/100 of an inch, which is about another 5 minutes. This process has taken so far about a half an hour, and it's not that bad. The first one was... So this process has taken about a half an hour to do. The first time I did this, it was much longer, and the hammer is much sloppier. This one actually looks pretty good, almost looks like it came from a real lathe. This is working out pretty good. So I have another 1/100 of an inch to file down. Once I do that, then I'll cut the PVC piping, the sprinkler hose piping, to put over that. I'll cut it, epoxy it down, zip tie it. We'll let it cure. I'll show you how that goes. And then the last step is to put it back in the lathe and file the PVC plastic down. We're almost done. So here it is, cut nice. Hope that's not too bright, but you can kind of see. So it's cut really, really sweet. It's a little hot right now. Let me remove it from my lathe. I like saying that word. So from past experience, I know not to touch this, because this is very... Now you can see it held up very well. So my string that I used to wedge the cut nut into the inside of the back of the bolt hammer has held up just fine. This looks really, really sweet. Let's see. This took about 40 minutes to do, and this is exactly what I was trying to accomplish. There it is. Okay, so now I'm going to cut a piece of the tubing to fit in between these two cuts. Let's find out how long that needs to be. 0.888, 888 thousandths of an inch. Let's try that on the other side. 887, perfect. So 888s, that's how long the piece I'm going to cut from the tubing to fit on around this. Okay, I have my mark. Okay, I'm now going to cut. I'm going to cut this piece to that size. Okay, there's my sleeve to fit perfectly. I will make a cut and epoxy it over this. So let me do some filing and I'll get back to you. A blade, hopefully I'll go straight down the middle. Okay. All right, so now I've opened it up. See that little gap in there? I'm sliding it right over. All right, look at that. So there is a little bit of an issue. So the issue is I now know that I have not ground it down enough because there's this gap. Let's see, maybe I have. Well, it tells me that I could probably grind this down just a little more. That gap tells me that. We are now at the point where I have ground down this hammer. Here's what the original hammer looked like. Okay. And here is the ground down. So you can kind of, I'll put them both the same way. I'll let them face you. So you can kind of see what that looks like. Piece of 0.75 sprinkler plumbing, okay, that I have cut. And you can see I made a cut. I sized it to fit inside this gap here. Hopefully you can see, let's see. All right, so you can see that it fits inside this gap this groove that I've made. I've split it open. Here, let's fit it in. Just going to wedge it in there. And you know what? Wow. That fits very nice. Here, I'll show you where the groove is. The cut, there's the cut. See the cut right there? Let's see. See that cut? It fits really nice. Now what's going to happen is I'm going to epoxy this piece, the plastic piece, to the hammer, and then eventually after it dries, I will sand it down on the lathe, the drill lathe, and make it just so that this black part, the plastic part, is just a tad higher than the metal part. And this way, the black part, the PVC, will make contact with the inside of the tube and create a lot less friction. All right, so let's glue this down. Let's epoxy this. So all I'm using is some epoxy from 2-part epoxy. I think it's 5 ton, whatever they call it. Dries in 5 minutes. Metal, ceramic, plastic, stone, wood, plastic, paper. Works on everything. Permanent bond. This is how I'm going to bond the plastic to the hammer. Mix it really well. Put some of that epoxy on the inside. You don't need too much. Open it up before this epoxy seals. Let's see if I can get this on. Whew, okay. Not easy. I'm going to spread it apart. I've got it on. All right. Clean my hands so that the gap is not on the top or the bottom. That cut should not be on the top or the bottom. We'll just put it on the side. Now what I'll do is use 2 zip ties. Here we go. And this will help keep the plastic nice and tight. Okay. Here we go. Whoops, let's put them both the same way. All right. On the hammer. Okay. The part that was cut is on the side. Okay, but once we file this down on the lathe, you know, to make it smooth and flush, it's not even going to matter where it is, because right now it's going to make such a great bond. And there it is. So the next step I'll be showing you once this cures is how to sand this down, which takes a few minutes, and we're done. All right, so this is now cured. We are ready. I'm going to snip away the 2 zip ties. Holding this, 1, 2, and the epoxy looks like it's been about an hour and a half, and it looks like we're ready to sand this down. Now, one thing, some 60 sandpaper, 60 grit, and we're going to slowly file it down just by hand. Okay, so how do you know if it's the right size? Well, I have a main tube here, which I'll try and fit on, and it's too tight, so I got to keep going, keep sanding. right, that is feeling smooth. All right, we're almost there. I'm now done with this. How do I know that I've got the right diameter? I'm going to put it into the tube and see that it slides freely, and it looks good. There we go. So side by side, here you see the two hammers. This is a stock Crosman. This one here is a stock Crosman, and this is my modified with the vinyl sleeve, and I think that looks pretty damn good. There it is.